And welcome everybody to Formula One. Just in time so you can hear my phone go. That'll probably be Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah.
Hang on a second.
Uh-huh.
Hello, Lewis.
Yeah.
I'm busy at the moment, mate. Fuck off. Thanks, dude. Bye. Okay, just taking care of that. Okay, so welcome everybody. Oh, hang on a minute. He's texted me. Jesus
That
Christ.
bloody Lewis Hamilton, he's such a pain in the arse.
Is it looking for a used car too?
No, he's saying he's got problems with his dog's diet.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Well,
So
tell him
there's
not to
that.
use dog's diet then.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I told it to feed it some fox, and anyway, there we go. We'll see what happens.
Ouch.
Okay, so welcome everybody. Welcome to Fabio and Funk for the 2023. Can't believe we're there already. Still, Saudi Grand Prix, race number 2 in the season. What a fantastic race! I'm joined as always by the fabulous Fabio, the Italian expert. Hello, Fabio.
Hello.
Ciao, ciao.
How you doing? Ciao, ciao. Ciao,
Okay,
ciao.
he's off. Bye. And
What?
I'm also joined by lucky special guest Lucky7Wolfin, who is not an expert. Welcome.
I am not. I must reiterate this several times. I am not an expert in no way, shape.
You are a special guest, though.
Oh, well, thank you.
So there's that. There we are. Okay, so yes, no, Fabio is obviously remaining here. We got no show without Fabio, so some of us are growers, some of us are showers. Fabio is a shower. You can guess what I am.
Yeah. With
Fair enough. Okay, so we're going to get on with it. We're going to try and keep to an hour for everybody. Please, obviously, let me write it in. Like and try and spell it right. Subscribe.
Yeah.
Please like and subscribe. And we got a comment. We have a comment already. Oh, it hasn't come up in my chat. Never mind. Okay. Basically, it's just come up. There we go. We have a comment. It says like and subscribe.
Oh.
There we go. Thank you very much, Mr. Funkish. Okay, no problem. So we're going to get straight on. We were in Saudi after last week's fantastic race in Bahrain. We're staying in the Middle East for a little while, and we're in Saudi. So it was a fantastic session. I mean, the track is coming along. It's what they call a street circuit, not because it's on streets. It's just built in the way around a town. So it is a Tilka circuit, of course, as we know, with 2 massive straights and a couple of corners at the end, and a little bit of wiggly waggly along the way. And as always, we were expecting some drama in the race. Max Verstappen qualifying in 15th place because of a broken drive shaft, and Leclerc, after having to replace some electronics in his car, given a 10-place grid penalty, starting in 12th place. That left the pole position for Sergio Perez, and the 2nd place for the next fastest driver at the moment, which is, of course, Alonso. And then after that, I think it was George Russell, followed by Sainz, maybe Lewis, and then a few others would-bes. So that was the starting order. Obviously, put the 5 lights on. Everybody lined up. A fantastic start, really fast getaway for Sergio Perez. Although to be out-dragged into the first corner, because of course the first corner in Saudi is a left-hander, and the left side of the grid is Alonso's position. So he got in there first. That followed then by Perez. Great start by Russell. Then Sainz and Hamilton, No, it wasn't Hamilton. Yes, it was Hamilton. No, it wasn't. It was Stroll, Ocon, and Hamilton. There we go. Thank you very much. Into one of the corners, the long round corner to the halfway through the lap, and it was a great overtake by Stroll around the outside of Perez, outside of Sainz. His best drive and his best move of the day. Not to last too long, he was to go out in some time. Then we found that Alonso had a 5-second penalty for lining up incorrectly in the grid. How he managed that, I have no idea, but 5-second penalty he was a given. As soon as the DRS came in, though, obviously the fast-moving Red Bulls had it easily done. Alonso tried to fight back. He managed to once, but then on the next lap round, Perez just drove away. And that was to be the theme for Perez, driving away. And then further back, there were obviously plenty of overtakes and positions to be gained, with the DRS being so powerful as it turned out to be. Sainz overtaking Hamilton very easily. Ferrari looking very good actually on its tyres. They were on the soft tyres. Ferrari looking good, looking like it wasn't using its tyres too much. Not that you would expect that down this circuit, being extremely flat and a new surface. At the same time, of course, Verstappen absolutely sliced through the field. I mean, just crazy slicing. We knew he would, of course, and it was just a matter of how far he could get up the field before the inevitable before the inevitable safety car came out. And of course, that wouldn't be too much longer into the race. Eventually, he did get up to fourth. Lap 18, Stroll decided to park his car right in the middle of the track, and they called a safety car. I say right in the middle of the track. It wasn't right in the middle of the track. He actually pulled over to the side and behind a barrier. But for some reason, they decided to call a safety car. Don't know why. Perhaps they haven't got cameras, right? I don't know. But that's what they did. They called a safety car, and that, of course, closed the field up, reduced Perez's lead, which was by at least a lap, at least a pit stop by that stage, down to 0, and allowed Alonso to come in free of charge, relatively, with his 5-second penalty for being in the wrong position. And then, of course, allowed Max to catch up all of that gap. So we thought at that point it was a shoo-in, really, for Max to win the race. And, of course, it looked very much like it was going to be that way. Leclerc had a bit of a dreadful race, really. Always seemed to be on the wrong tyres at the wrong time. Good pace, relatively speaking, but unfortunately got trapped in DRS trains and therefore couldn't really use his car to the best advantage. So anyway, after the red safety car came in, it was Perez, Alonso, Russell, Verstappen, Sainz, Hamilton, Leclerc. Okay, so basically it looked odds on that Verstappen was going to get away there. Obviously, but for the 2 laps, there was no DRS, and it was the DRS that was the key thing in this particular race, because in that time it took Verstappen to get past Russell first, and then get past Alonso. Perez had managed to get something like a 5-second gap on Verstappen, and he wasn't able to close it down, of course, because Verstappen no longer had DRS. So the 2 Red Bulls went at roughly the same pace. But nonetheless, it was easy enough for Verstappen to get through. Along the way, of course, the 2 Ferraris doing very well. Sainz overtaking Hamilton, and then Hamilton re-overtaking, and then Sainz eventually getting past along, I think eventually with Leclerc. Did he get past Sainz overtaking? Lap 23, that's all I'm saying. Lap 23, Hamilton was past both Ferraris again. And that was pretty much going to be how the race settled down. Perez, Alonso, Verstappen by lap 25, and then it was just a simple matter for DRS to take Verstappen past Alonso, and then on to the end of the race. A little bit of drama at the end of the race with only a 6-second gap between Perez and Verstappen. would Verstappen catch? He certainly tried and was consistently faster than Perez, bringing the lap down, but there just wasn't enough laps. Plus, towards the end of the lap, Verstappen started hearing sounds, potentially his drive shaft going. At least that's what he said, although he was assured it wasn't the case by the pit wall. And then basically he backed off, allowed Perez then, who at the time had the fastest lap, to take the win. Of course, Verstappen didn't let that go because he knew that would be one extra point on the World Championship and would be Perez leading the championship. So he asked to do the fastest lap. When told, no, don't worry about that, Max. We're not worried about that. Max then said, yes, but I'm going to do it. Of course. What are you saying? Don't worry about it. You are idiots if you think I'm not going to worry about it. And so they allowed him then to charge his battery up for the very last lap and do a fastest lap. At the same time, not actually telling Perez to do the same thing, of course. So quite sensible, I guess. And again, I think Max was a little disappointed when he wasn't given team orders, to say the least. So there we go. There was a brief discussion between the two, which we'll get to. And that was how the race finished. Perez, and then Verstappen fastest lap, second place. Alonso third. Russell fourth, 5 seconds ahead of Hamilton. Really a dominant race for Russell over Hamilton. Then Sainz over Leclerc, again, roughly 5 seconds. And then Ocon and Gasly with only 2-3 seconds between those two. And in 10th place, it was Magnussen, which is the Haas. So a good result for Haas this week. And that is my race review. So I'm just going to hand it over now to Fabio.
Yeah,
did you see the race? How did you see it? And what else have I got wrong?
It was really exciting. I mean, there were 3 days of really exciting race on a very difficult circuit tracks. And yeah, but at the end of it, Sébastien Ogier won the Mexico Rally with Vincent Landais. Second only Thierry Neuville and Martin Videke on the Hyundai. I mean, of course, brilliant. Toyota's, big things. Third Evans and Scott, and Rovanpera and Heitinen. Fourth, for the RC2, there was a very good battle between Gus Greensmith and Jonas Anderson against Emil Lindholm and Rita Hämäläinen, which got second. Oliver Solberg and Elliot Edmondson got third in RC2. The Fords were quite disappointing, and the Hyundai with Thierry Neuville and Danny Sordo, which got fifth. Danny Sordo and Candido Carrera, just got fifth. After a good start, it seems to be that a little bit suffering against the Toyotas, while the Skodas, of course, in RC2 got a fantastic one. It was an exciting 3 days, really good races. Yeah, good luck. So, is it the race you're talking about, right?
No, I wasn't talking about the radio.
Okay, no, I got you covered.
No, he wasn't talking about an exciting race.
I'm really sorry. Shut up. I'm really sorry. I'm sorry. I mixed the race. Of course, it was a fantastic race. The 1,000 miles of Sebring with the two Toyotas, from the start. Yes, Antonio Falco got the pole with the brand new Ferrari, but of course they had a little bit of a kerfuffle problem, in the first laps, and he managed to get third. So fantastic race.
Not bad for a Ferrari. Not bad for Ferrari.
Yeah, the Vanwall astonishingly, finished the race, but they're just, saying, "No, we're gonna finish better with Jacques Villeneuve." So yeah, fantastic race. It's this weekend. Were there any other races?
Yes, there was. Yes, Michael Dunlop won first place, his 20th TT win.
Yeah,
in the Super Sport 600s.
So those are all the races which counted for something in this weekend.
Yeah,
thank you very much. Good night.
Thank you so much, Fabio. Go ahead, please.
Michael Dunlop, the son of Joey, or brother, nephew, something.
Uncle, I think he is. cousin,
Yes,
uncle.
the uncle.
He's
Yeah.
nephew.
Nephew. Got you.
Robert Dunlop, isn't he? Robert Dunlop's son, who's Joey's son,
Brother.
Yeah.
brother. There you go.
Anyway,
Thank you.
yeah. I mean, the race.
I could be completely wrong.
In
Oh, well,
Arabia.
hang on. Fabio wants to talk about it now. Go ahead, Fabio.
The race in Arabia. I mean, what the
Yeah.
hell? So we have two different championships. It reminds me a lot of 2014 when the new rule came in and Mercedes managed to make a car which was way more superior than the others. So we
Yeah.
basically had the two Red Bulls, which are racing one championship, and everybody else, they're racing, another championship basically.
Yeah.
So that was happened. That's what happened in Arabia last weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's one of those tracks that it's way more exciting to drive than to watch. I mean, the camera from the first person perspective, and it's massive. I understand that all the drivers like it. From a spectator point of view, I think the best show were the drones. At the beginning,
Oh,
was really
fantastic!
cool.
Yes.
Yeah, but other than that,
Really like the countdown.
yeah, other than that, I mean, the race was kind of meh.
Exactly what we expected.
Yeah,
We talked about it last week and said, "Oh, it'll probably be Verstappen coming through the pack." Well, no, the night before we talked about it.
Yeah, I mean, they had a little bit of of pathos at the beginning. When Verstappen broke the drive shaft in the qualifying. I don't know exactly why they broke that. I mean, breaking a drive shaft is quite rare, and I think I'm just shooting blanks here, but I think it has something to do with the way the rear suspension is set up. So, from my understanding, from what I could see, they did something that, funnily enough, people have been doing that for years with RC cars. So, in order for you to have the car squat less under acceleration, basically what you do is that you have the two triangles in the rear suspension that, instead of being like this parallel, the bottom triangle is not like this, but it's kind of like this.
Yes.
Okay, so it's not parallel to the upper suspension, and if you it's I mean, it's kind of complicated to explain, but if you take something, you realize that if the bottom triangle is squatted like this, under compression it goes down less. So that helps squatting, but that makes the drive shaft work in a really weird position. So maybe, just maybe, that was one of the reasons why the drive shaft broke. But again, drive shaft breaking is not a major issue unless it just takes away everything with it, like the gearbox and the calipers and all that stuff, which is really hard. So the only thing they have to change was the gearbox casing, which is not a part under penalty, so that doesn't count. I mean, as soon as the internals are okay, you change the casing, you're fine. The drive shaft itself, they probably change the calipers, where the drive shaft bolts to the rear wheel, and that's it. I mean, it wasn't that much of a problem.
Well, we think. I mean, at the moment that's the look, but of course,
Yeah,
if it was
yeah.
the case that Max was suffering at the end of the race from a similar problem,
Yeah,
then they may have to redesign.
Yeah, Verstappen complained a little bit about hearing the same noise that he heard in qualifying. Maybe there was a little bit of whine. I mean, I tried to listen to the engine when it was running, what it was saying. I couldn't really hear it, so I feel that it was more like a vibration than a whine.
Yeah.
which was something that the driver might have heard a little bit better. But again, that might have been expected with the new part,
Yeah.
on old stuff. So I mean,
And
it
he
was
was
something that people, yeah.
and he was able to do the fastest lap at the end of the race. So
Oh
clearly
yeah.
the car is not suffering
Mm,
performance-wise from
mm.
any degrading parts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so talking about the other championship, we saw the Mercedes on a good pace, and Aston Martin. I mean, that car is fucking astonishing. I mean, they managed to build a very good car in 2 years, and of course, Mr.
Yeah.
Stroll money helps a lot, but they
Yeah.
were really smart. They got some really interesting people. They got, I think we mentioned, privately, you and me, Samus. They got Luca Furbato as a head engineer,
Sure. And of
which
course, yeah. Go
which
ahead.
by the way, what?
No, go ahead. I was going to mention the other
Yeah,
guy as
which
well.
by the way it was Eddie Newey #2. So that should teach somebody something, namely Ferrari.
Yeah.
That but it's again, it's really difficult in 2 years to have a proper mix of uh, of mixing. Even if you got the right people, it's really difficult 2 years to mix them properly in order to have
Yeah.
a good product. And they managed to do that. So kudos to Aston Martin.
Cheers
They
to
have
them.
they have a very good car, a fast car. Alonso is happy because the car is going fast. We got to see what happens, during the season, because we all know that Alonso is kind of prone to mood changes. Can I say that?
Yes, I think that's
Yeah.
fair.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's fair.
So
Depends
now,
whether
now he's
he's
happy. Yeah.
depends how much
He's
sun he
happy.
gets. Apparently.
Yeah. He's happy because everything is happy, and we got to see if things go a little bit, south, what the fuck he does.
I
But
agree. I think it was really nice to see 3 Red Bulls on the podium again.
yeah.
So,
Okay. So you're Mr. Marco. I get it. Okay. Cool.
so there you go.
Actually, it was really interesting. The weekend they interviewed the head engineer in Aston Martin, Luca Furbato, and they asked him specifically what he thought about, Helmut Marko saying in the last race it was really cool to see 3 Red Bulls on the podium. And the guy said something. I mean, he replied in Italian, but the rough translation was, "I'm not even entertaining the concept of replying to such a comment." That's it. In so
Yes.
many words.
Yeah. Well, that's fair enough. Of course.
Yeah. Basically, he told the
he's
guy,
hoping-
to. Yeah.
He's hoping to get a job at Red Bull again when this is all finished. Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
not really sure about. I mean, if those are the results, I'm not really sure about that he wants to do that. So yeah, he basically told him, to take a shovel and start digging and get the fuck off. So
Yeah.
it was a really good comment from that guy.
Okay.
Other cars, McLaren is still in a deep hole.
Yeah, they were very slow, even with the wing open. Yeah.
As it is. I mean, Williams was okay. A little bit more than okay, considering that Sergeant it's a very new driver. Albon made something good. AlphaTauri it's a shit car. Good job by Nico Hülkenberg managing to get the last good position for 1 point, and in the very last, I don't know, 2 or 3 laps from the end. He managed to overtake.
No, it was Magnussen that took.
What?
Magnussen was in 10th. Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah,
that's okay.
so
Hülkenberg had a bit of a disaster again. He's not quite got his mojo back for the whole race.
Well, but he got a point, which for Haas is like it's gold.
Haas
it's
got a
literally
point. Yeah.
gold. So yeah,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
He managed to overtake the small Japanese guy.
Sonoda.
Yeah, the Alpine were okay. I mean, not incredible, but okay. I think that I actually think that Ocon is driving way faster than he's driving over the car. If you get what I mean, so it's driving way faster
from Gasly, because Gasly has been on fire again. I think every time I watch
Guys
Gasly
is
in
on
the car,
fire.
I just think, wow, he's precise, he's
Yeah.
fast, and he's
But the
just
car
not.
is showing to be a little bit more consistent and a little bit more focused. So there is that, and I think
Oh dear.
it's a good thing for Alpine. And what else? I mean, we talked about Mercedes. Mercedes, I mean, Toto Wolff said, with no uncertain terms that they're gonna, take the car and bin it. I have no fucking idea how they're gonna change the concept of the car with the the budget cap and all that shit. But apparently, that's what they're planning to do. And other than that, that's all. I mean, and then if you want, we can talk about Ferrari for about half an hour. But I mean, it's up to you. I mean, you drive the conversation, so you tell me.
Okay. Well, no, I was going to pass it over to our special guest, but he's just dropped out for some reason. Obviously, something coming up. No, this is just to say the chat. Just reading the chat, they agree it's a secular discussion. Now, this is a discussion about Formula One news. Now,
Yes.
Please remember to like and subscribe. Thank you very much. And there we go. Okay, so I think we need to talk about Ferrari because it was a bit of a strange weekend. Obviously this circuit really being of a benefit to a car with a high top speed. Ferrari last year, having a very powerful engine, had a good top speed. Not so much this year, though. So what's going on there?
So I've got notes. Okay.
Excellent. Go ahead then, please. Note away.
So, in a nutshell, my personal opinion is that there are a lot of things which have been said about Ferrari. One thing is that they're lacking pace.
Could I just stop you there, actually, Fabio?
Yes. Go.
I just want to go over to our special guest. Here we go, Lucky7Wolfin. Thank you, Lucky. Are you there for me?
Yeah, I'm here. I have no idea what happened there. That's very strange.
Great. If we could just have your opinions on the race in general.
Well, I think the big question at the start of the race was how far is Max going to get up the field? And, well, he got to second. There wasn't really much else to talk about, was there? I guess
didn't think so.
He was the driver of the day and had the drive of the day. Yeah. Perez likes to flag victory.
Impressive.
I'm starting to think that the my car's broken story that was coming from Verstappen was maybe just something that he'd made up in order to fool the opposition, perhaps, or fool Perez. I don't know. But you don't say your car's broken and then go and make the fastest lap.
Yeah, well, apparently he said that, reported the sound. They said it was okay, Max. He then speeded up again. He then reported back that the sound was still there. So they asked him to slow down. At which point he asked about the fastest lap. And then they said, don't worry about that. And he said, no, I am worried about that. So presumably they said, look, if you just hold off, we'll charge the car up and you can do it on the last lap. And then they felt they wouldn't have to tell Perez, presumably.
Yeah, that's a distinct possibility, but it just seems like there was some shenanigans maybe afoot. Perhaps,
I mean, I think, the first message to Perez was a message to say, 33, like telling him what lap time he should be doing, 32.6, I think it was, or 36.2, which was it? No, 32.6. So he said, hey, Max, we're going to do 32.6. And, hey, Sergio, it's 32.6. And then Sergio says, well, is Max been told to do the same? Right? Because obviously that was a relatively slow lap, presumably. Because you told me 33s. Right?
Yeah.
So now I'm doing 32.6. So is Max being told the same? They said, oh, we don't know. Just that's what we're telling you. Kind of thing. So he felt obviously suspicious. He then ignored it and did a 31.8. Okay. So they obviously went, right, well, Sergio's not going to go what we say. Right. In which case, Max doesn't stand a chance. So then I think when they told Max that there was no way Sergio was slowing down, presumably, he then just said, right, well, I want the fastest lap, so charge my car up, and I'll back off a bit, because of the sound is back all of a sudden. And like Fabio says, you couldn't hear anything. I mean, I checked out, I went back and checked out the sound of the car before that on board to the sound after on board. There was no difference whatsoever. Right. So, like Fabio was right, unless it was a vibration, then, there was something going on there.
Yeah.
But afterwards, Max said some strange things about it, though. That's the only point.
To be super fair, we got to always remember that the audio that we get from the engine is not the actual audio of the engine. It's kind of they take away some frequencies on purpose, so that, because if you get a good soundtrack, you can basically, and this is what we used to do with motorcycles. We just with a good microphone, we register the engine, and you can infer the RPMs. So the noise that we hear on television is not the actual noise. So there are some frequencies which are skewed up. So maybe there was a noise, we just couldn't hear it. Yeah, but I think it was more a vibration.
Yeah, no, I would agree. Yeah.
Well,
still afterwards, as I say, Max said some strange things about, no, of course I'm not happy not winning the race, and he almost blamed the team for having the drive shaft problem.
Yes,
and basically said I would have won the race if it wasn't for that, and that's what he was implying anyway. But then he turned around straight away and said, well, of course I'm happy. It's a 1-2 for the team. The team did an excellent job. Team. I got the fastest lap. Team. Aren't I a really fast driver? I'm great. I could have won it.
Yeah, I'm not sure what was going on there, but we'll give him the benefit of the doubt this time. Mm-hmm. People seem to acquiesce to him passing rather easily. I don't know what it was. I mean, Alonso.
Top speed.
He went past Alonso, and Alonso didn't even put up a pretense of a fight, which is very unlike Alonso. So there must have been some realization from the other guys that this was just unstoppable, this Red Bull.
Yeah.
And looking
at the top speeds, there was no way anybody could hold a Red Bull back.
Yeah. If you look at speaking of fastest laps, Verstappen had a 31.906 as his fastest lap. The only driver to get into the 31s.
Yeah.
Lewis Hamilton fifth was over a second behind in his fastest lap.
Yeah.
That's a huge difference. A second in a lap, that's huge. Mercedes must be dying at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And definitely having to preserve tyres, which is why they can't go for fastest laps. And Fabio was right last week, and it was really noticeable on an even smoother surface. It was very noticeable that the suspension on the Red Bull is superb. I mean, literally going over the curbs, there was virtually no, the car hardly tilted at all going over the curves. It was stable.
And they managed to keep it really low. It's really strange because we were used to see, a really pitched, car from Red Bull. Yeah. And this year is flat as a pan. It doesn't. Actually, it's a little bit more the opposite way. If you look at it, it has gone the total opposite way, which is, it's understandable with this kind of car. You want to have the rear as close as possible, to seal, the ground. But the rear of the Red Bull is so, it's unbelievably low to the ground compared to the other cars. It's
noticeably low to the ground, in fact.
Absolutely. And
speaking of rear suspension, I must point out that bottom triangle is not actually a technical term.
No,
it kind of is, but okay, I get what you say.
It's a wishbone or a suspension arm for anybody who's wondering what a bottom triangle actually is.
It's rear lower wishbone. Yeah.
Indeed.
Okay, so look, that's fair enough. Look, I mean, one
Of-
thing as well, which is pleasant for me to kind of look at, really, which is although it's probably not that going to be that important this year, is that Max is struggling with the car a little. I say struggling, not relative to the rest of the field, but relative to his normal high standards. It's noticeable he hasn't got the front end that he desires quite as much. So that's something to look out for, just as a wee prediction, that when we get to wet weather, etc., Max is probably going to suffer more than Perez. And yeah, that would be my prediction.
Oh yeah, but
looking at those.
He will have to drive on that, because this kind of car, I mean, that's the way to go.
Yeah.
You have to have a really solid rear, and
Absolutely.
you will sacrifice the front. So
yeah. No, totally agree. But that plays into
Mhm.
Perez's driving style a little more than Max's. So maybe that's offering us. I'm looking for the smallest margin of hope that we actually get a decent race this year, or at least something unusual.
Listen, as long as Verstappen starts like 12th position behind Perez has a shot. Okay, let me put it this way. Okay,
he drove away.
Good luck to Perez.
Look, he drove away from Max at one point. Just saying, right? And Max couldn't close him down. I mean, he closed him a second and a half over 20 laps. So I'm just saying they were pretty much equal paced. I was very impressed with Perez's drive, actually.
It was good. I mean, Perez he likes that circuit. He got the pole position last year, so yeah, he likes the circuit. True. But again, good luck to him. I mean, I wish he could pull a Rosberg this year. I'm not really sure about it, but
we talked about it, didn't we?
Yeah.
Getting Miss Mexico.
It would make for an interesting season.
And anyway, I wanted to raise 3 different topics really fast.
I wanted to raise some as well. Can I raise some in my short section?
Yes, of course you can. Should we do Lucky's section first?
Yes. Go ahead.
I'll finish with the race. One thing we've got to talk about is, as we're on the subject of rears, we'll talk about Alonso's rear being touched. As you may or may not know, he got a 5-second penalty for his car not being lined up in the correct place at the start line. He was outside his box slightly and was given a 5-second penalty. When he came in for his first pit stop, they chose to serve the 5-second penalty before the pit stop. Now, while the 5 seconds was elapsing, the rear jack man stuck the jack under the back of the car so that it was touching the jacking point, and the car was just ready to go up when the 5 seconds was elapsed. Alonso was subsequently given a 10-second penalty for this contact with the rear of the car, which within 3 hours was thrown out, and he was reinstated back to third place. So he did get his third place despite all the messing around.
That's actually not super correct. So the problem with Alonso, really quickly, is that he put himself in a. It was a little bit. So it wasn't ahead of the yellow line.
No,
but it was out of position on the left, and it was given 5 seconds. The same way that it was given to Ocon and stuff like that. Now the rule says that he has to serve those 5 seconds if he can. That is the key. If he can, at the pit stop, and if he can't for any reason, they will add the 5 seconds at the end of the race. What happened is that Alonso got in when the pace car was deployed, and he served the 5 seconds. Now, funnily enough, those 5 seconds did not count, because you cannot serve the 5 seconds if the safety car is deployed. I think it's 58.4-A of the rule book. I mean, I'm going by memory. The luck of Alonso was the fact that, as Wolfin said, there was a guy which actually touched the car. So that didn't count as trying to serve the 5-second penalty, which he couldn't serve during that pit stop. But
Right.
again, they touched him, so that was a so it was as if he stayed there 5 seconds just for the sake of it.
For no reason.
So what really happened is that they made some inquiries, say, there's a 5-second penalty. They made Mercedes was really naive in telling to Russell just close the gap, because nobody realized that they could have just said shut up. So there was a protest, and it turned out that those 5 seconds were not valid, right? But he could not have served those 5 seconds, because the only time he got a pit stop was that time, and he could not serve the 5-second penalty.
Interesting.
It's not that he has to.
Yeah.
Right.
That's interesting. That's interesting, because it was explained differently in different media. So
yeah. So that's why
yes.
at the end of it, they didn't give him the 10-second penalty. He would have got the 10-second. This is the scenario where he would have got the 10-second penalty if he got on the pit lane, right?
Yeah.
And there was no safety car, and
Right.
the guy touches the car, so he serves the 5 seconds. Those 5 seconds are not valid, but he could have served the 5-second penalty, but he didn't. Now they would have given him 10 seconds.
Right.
But
Okay.
he couldn't serve the 5 seconds, so it doesn't matter what happened during the
Okay.
pit stop.
Okay. I hear what you're saying.
Okay.
I hear what you're saying.
Okay.
It was explained differently in other media that I've heard. But go ahead, Lucky. Back to you.
Well, I acquiesced the more knowledgeable expert there.
He's Italian. It doesn't count.
Yeah.
Well, he's all things Italian, so basically he would have ended up with 15 seconds had things gone the way it first seemed, because he would have had his 5 seconds plus 10 seconds for touching the car. Okay, but as it happened, all he got was the original 5 seconds, because he didn't actually serve that 5 seconds because of the safety car rule. Got you.
Because he couldn't serve the 5 seconds.
Yeah.
That I mean, is the could or could not. That is the key. And the rule is 2 paragraphs. And I understand that most of the TV, they show the first paragraph, but not the second. And it's a really weird paragraph, because you really have to read the whole article, because the beginning of the article says one thing and the second part says another thing. So you got to read both of them. And it's really weird.
Okay. Well, anyway, he was third place, his 100th Grand Prix podium. So congratulations. I think he's the first person to do that, is he?
Yeah. And also congratulations to Russell, because Russell said, I do not deserve the third place when he thought he was third.
Sure.
So kudos to Russell.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. And the only other thing I need to talk about, or I wanted to talk about,
if I could just add one. If I could just add one little point there, which is also Alonso saying, okay, if that's what they do, that's what they do, when he thought he did have a 10-second. I mean, that's class. That's class.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter to me, man. Just whatever.
Yeah, this is the new Alonso we're talking about here.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, because the car is fast. Yeah.
What was I going to talk about? Logan Sargent, my man, Logan Sargent, my tip for the year, my outsider, my rookie man. Yep. Well, failed to qualify. Unfortunately, he went over the pit lane line on his first attempt. He spun in his second attempt, and then damaged the floor going over a curb on his last attempt, and therefore had no time registered in qualifying. However, the stewards did what was probably the best sporting thing.
Oh, hello. You still there?
Is that? No, I don't know.
Yeah.
Is
that
Jim?
Yeah, he's dead, Jim. Yeah. No, I was impressed with Alonso all weekend, as always. The man's fast, like when he first went to Indy. When he first did the Indy 500.
Can you hear me? No.
Oh, yeah, I can hear you now. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay.
So we were talking about Sergeant Logan and the Williams.
Yeah, he didn't get a qualifying time. Fortunately, the stewards let him race. Good marketing and ploy. Obviously, the American getting disqualified and not being able to race would have been a bit of a headache for the American market. So they did the right thing, probably the sporting thing to do as well. Let him race. He finished 16th, and his race was pretty uneventful, I believe. And that's it.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
I mean,
so,
it's a long road for a rookie in Formula One these days because the cars are they're not just difficult to drive now, they're virtually impossible. And that's why you get Max Verstappen able to come through at such a pace. I think because that car is so superb compared to the other cars.
Ask Mick Schumacher. How hard is it?
I do have a small question. There was a bit of a comedic stroke, sarcastic stroke, snide remark from Perez after the last Grand Prix when he said there was 3 Red Bulls on the podium. I don't know if you guys heard that.
that was Helmut Marko. It wasn't Perez.
It was Helmut Marko. Okay.
That's right, yeah.
Now, explain to me, guys, why
he's an idiot. I mean, I can explain you in 2 words. He's a fucking idiot. That's it,
Yeah.
I mean, as far as I'm aware, the Aston Martin is running not only a Mercedes engine, but Mercedes gearbox, Mercedes hybrid, Mercedes rear end. So why would he be calling it a Red Bull?
Because he's a fucking idiot, So right now,
No, tell him the real reason, Fabio.
Okay. Listen, the real version is that he's a fucking idiot. Okay. If you want to go a little bit deeper than that, right now in F1 there are 3 different concepts of cars, right? So there is the Red Bull concept, there is the Ferrari concept, and the Mercedes concept kind of car. Mercedes is the only one driving, that kind of concept, and it's shit, and they're gonna ditch it. The Ferrari concept is a little bit less shit. It's still shit, and it's only brought away by Ferrari and Haas. All the other cars, they're following the Red Bull concept. So Helmut Marko could have said that if it was an Alpine getting third, if it was a Williams, Alpha Tauri, any other car, but a Ferrari or a Mercedes. So that is the technical reason.
That's not it. That's not it. It's that's 2 of the members of Red Bull moved to Aston Martin last year.
Yeah, I mean, of course.
One of which was the aerodynamicist, although that's not his current role at Aston Martin. But of course, he worked in the aero department under Adrian Newey.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So it's last year's Red Bull. It's not this year's Red Bull. It's last year's Red Bull.
But isn't this year's Red Bull?
I maintain that my original point, the fact that he's an idiot, is the more is the closer to reality.
Well, no, he likes to say shit. He likes to stir shit up at any opportunity he gets.
Yeah. I'm really struggling. I really feel Christian Horner, like a brother, because he has to deal with that guy.
And Max Verstappen and Jos Verstappen. I mean, my God, he gets paid the big bucks, right?
I don't know how much money Christian Horner is paid. I guess a lot. In my opinion, is not paid enough.
Yeah, fair enough. And he's married to one of the Spice Girls. So
yes.
Is Helmut not doing his work for free? Quote.
Helmut doesn't. No, Helmut gets paid a lot as well.
Yeah.
Who's the one that was the advisor for free to Red Bull? Was that Schumacher?
Yeah. For free. Yeah, of course, for free. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, no chance. Nobody does anything for free in Red Bull.
Free, unquote, free. Of course.
So I wanted to raise my 2 points. We have got only 10 minutes.
No, we're going to make extra time for your 2 points, but I want to get to this little section that we're now going to have, which we're calling My Crack and His Quiz.
Okay.
Mike Crack's quiz. Okay.
So you want to go? You want me to go now?
No. I want you to go after the quiz.
Okay.
We're going to
fair
finish
enough.
with you.
Go.
Okay,
Well,
so Lucky.
What I'll do is I'll ask the question and I'll give you guys time to think about it, and we'll come back to that, and we'll
Okay.
talk a little bit about it. How about
Sounds
that?
good. So this is for people watching as well. If you're out there watching, that's just me at the moment, probably. But nonetheless, if you get the answer, please write it in the comments below as well. If you watch this later,
But
go ahead.
No cheating. No cheating, of course.
No, nobody's going to cheat. Come on now.
Of course
Who
not.
cheats with F1?
Oh, nobody.
Nobody that I know.
Nobody.
No lawsuits around here. Okay, so over to you. Question number 1.
Well, there's only one question.
Oh, okay.
Very, very simple. Cast your minds back rather to 1978, the Swedish Grand Prix. What car took its one and only victory and second place at the Swedish Grand Prix 1978 at Anderstorp?
Now we've got to give our viewers time. Don't go jumping in there. Go ahead.
Yeah, don't put any answers or anything in yet. We're going to come back to that after your short section.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you so much for that question. That is an interesting question. I think I know the answer, but we're not going to give the answer away just yet. Fabio,
it's a very famous victory.
Yes. So really quickly, a very fast point, because you mentioned, Simon, about the safety car. The reason why the safety car was deployed is that obviously Jos Verstappen is in the racing direction, because the reason that they gave
he wasn't, was he? Was he really? Is that true?
No.
Oh, thank fuck for that.
Yeah.
I know what reason they gave, but no. Wow, that is conspiracy.
So the reason they gave was that a Stroll blocked the way for the crane to get out eventually, which was insane. Because
that's not what I heard either, by the way.
Yeah. So that was, I think that was the official reason that they gave, which is crazy because I've seen the F2 races.
Ciao.
Before the event. And they were giving a virtual safety car as it was, But anyway, so
Martin Brundle said it was because there was a sensor, a GPS sensor on the Formula One car that said that the car was still on the track. That's why they called it safety car.
Martin Brundle could go work with Helmut Marko, I think. I just leave it there. Okay.
Marko show.
So real quick, and no more than 3 minutes, and you time me, Simon, about Ferrari. I've heard a lot of shit going on, saying that that the car is lacking pace. They got high degradation of tires. That the problem is setup. All the answers to those questions are no. The thing, in my opinion, which is lacking in Ferrari right now is downforce. They got the pace, and they got no degradation, no significant degradation, and everybody can look at the times. The times with the same tire do not degrade. They are stable. They're slower, of course, than Red Bull, and and they are on par with the other cars.
Yeah.
But they do not go down significantly. So that means that degradation is not a problem. And they actually got the pace. They got the pace they deserved for that car.
They had the longest run on. They had the longest run on soft tires in Saudi.
And the times were consistent. So it's not a degradation problem, and it's not a pace problem. The car has exactly the pace that the car can, sustain. The thing which is lacking in the car, in my opinion, is downforce. And the fact that they keep saying, "Oh, it's a setup problem," that is a red herring, because setup with the setup, you actually balance the things. You don't make up for things. So you can balance a little bit between the rear and the front, but the package has to be efficient. And right now, I think that Ferrari's package is not efficient in a downforce problem. they are lacking they're lacking straight speed, and they're lacking speed on the corners, and that means that they haven't got downforce. They got to rely on the wings to get back a little bit, and that explains the lack on the straight line. But also the wings do not work in corners, as efficiently as the bottom. And we said before that right now with those cars, the downforce on those cars right now is coming 40% from the wings and more than 60% actually from the bottom. So the wings alone cannot compensate for the fact that the overall downforce package of the car, which is coming mostly from the bottom, it's not working the way it's supposed to be working. It's basically the same situation where most of the cars are right now. If you look at the times, I think except Mercedes showed a little bit of degradation in timings with the tires. Not a lot, but a little bit. So I think that the problem with Mercedes are a little bit more problematic, a little bit more serious than the one with Ferrari. But most of the other cars, they get a consistent pace. The problem is that Red Bull has a way more efficient car, and they can sustain that that pace longer and faster. And we saw, especially this race, where the two cars, they didn't stop at the end of it. They were actually fighting for position. I mean, they were lapping. There was a certain point they were lapping like 1.5 seconds faster than any other car on the track.
Yeah.
So I mean, and this is I mean, it's really worrying.
Another stat I heard was that they had 17 kilometers an hour over their next car with the DRS open.
Yeah, and that's another thing. The fact that they're so fast.
Huge.
The fact that they're so fast when they open the DRS means that they rely. They don't rely that much on the wing, I mean, meaning that it's so anyway, the car is so efficient anyway that it just doesn't matter, it's when they zero the wing, all the wings are at zero, and it's only the car. So that speaks volumes about, again, what Aston Martin did. They managed to make a good package in 2 years. Of course, we got Newey number 2, and that also speaks volumes about. And I'm done. That also speaks volumes about the failure of Ferrari tactics that started with Marchionne when he was there, when he was counting on internal resources and all this shit without getting people from the outside. And it's easier for I gotta say it's easier for for British teams, because there is way more interconnection between them rather than Ferrari, and but it's a problem which goes I would say from 7 years back. What that was the attitude we're gonna get. We got all the resources internally. We got to make them work. That doesn't work. They need some people from the outside with fresh blood, fresh ideas. Of course, they need a technical director, which they don't have right now. So they went from having a team director, which was technical, and having no technical team principal. Now they got a team principal, and they haven't got a technical director.
Right.
And you remember what I said about the engineers being team principal? I was really, really, really crazy about that. I would say that there is only maybe one thing worse than being in that situation is the opposite situation. Having a team principal with no technical director, which is the situation they have now. So it's really problematic. I think that the road is still long, and my prediction is that it's going to take them at least a couple of years before they get. I mean, if they start acting now, and by acting now, I mean, I would say, for example, I mean, if I were Ferrari right now, I would go to Parma, where the what is the name of this to Dallara, and say, please give me back Aldo Costa, and then get him back in Ferrari. So that is one person that we know is capable. I mean, he's the guy which, basically made all the winning Mercedes in the last 10 years. So it's not an idiot. We know that. Get back the guy that they led to Haas, another, really good chap. Get those guys back in, mingle together, mix them together, and see what the fuck happens. Because apparently there is really wrong attitude in Ferrari right now. I mean, they got good ideas, but the car is they only can get up to a point, and that's it. They can't make the further step.
Yeah.
So
you're saying that they need to copy Red Bull. Is that what you're saying?
I say that. So here's the thing. I think that if they are smart, they are in a position to make something way better than Red Bull, because they're starting from a base which is not bad.
Yeah.
It's only that the people which work in there, that is as far as they can go. So the paradox is that by going in a different direction from Red Bull, they might have the potential to do something better and not playing catch up.
Yeah.
But the thing is that whoever thought about that concept, this is as far as they can go. They can't go any further. So by putting some really smart people, maybe they can get that concept and develop a little bit further. And maybe that concept is better than Red Bull. We don't know, because that is the end of it with the people they have right now. So
yes. Yep, you never know. I mean, it looks to be that Red Bull have more than a march, because they've taken a huge step forward this year. But you never know, as you say. You never know. Okay. Thank you for that. Go ahead, Lucky.
I believe Nigel Stepney is looking for a job. Maybe Ferrari should give him a call.
Why not? It's not going to hurt. Okay, so there we go.
You always didn't get the subtle joke there, but never mind.
I didn't know. Sorry, Stepney. No. He's the guy that leaked the.
He's the man that stole the plans. He took them down to Print.
To
get them copied.
Yeah, I heard Nigel Stepney suing Print for breach of privacy.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, they should get Nigel Stepney and Ron Dennis as team principal. Yeah, that's
and that'll work.
That would definitely be interesting.
Yeah, apparently Luca Badeau is on the roster for. Anyway, nonetheless, thank you very much, everybody. We got one last thing to finish here, which is with our special guest answering the quiz question. So, if you could just ask the question again, then I'm going to pass it over to Fabio. If you could just say your answer briefly, and then I'll say my answer, and then we'll get the correct answer. So, this is the quiz question. Lucky, if you could just say say the question again.
Quiz question of the day was: which car took its one and only victory at the Swedish Grand Prix at Anderstorp in 1978?
Okay, Fabio.
So I might be wrong, but if I'm right, it would be a car made by one of the greatest engineer in F1. And in my opinion, there are three great engineers. There is Colin Chapman, Mauro Forghieri, and Gordon Murray. And all the other ones, I mean, even Newey, I think is good, but it's not that level. So if I am right, I think that it might be the Alfa Romeo fan car.
I thought it was a Brabham, the fan car, and Bernie Eccleston's team. Yeah. Bernie Eccleston's team, that's the one I was going to go for, the Brabham fan car.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I said Alfa Romeo because I'm probably going to buy an Alfa this week, so I'm focused on that brand right now.
Okay, go ahead. And the answer to the question is?
The answer to the question is the Brabham fan car. Absolutely. Well done, both of you.
There we go. Okay, we're there, right? We're right on it. Okay.
Now, I promised a trivia and myth busting part. Okay, so the trivia question was the Swedish Grand Prix, obviously, and the fan car. Now, the myth behind the fan car. Everybody, well, not everybody, but a lot of people are under the impression that the fan car was actually banned. This was not the case. The fan car was never banned. briefly to go through the story, Lotus Colin Chapman in 77, 78 developed the wing car, which is basically an airplane wing upside down, and worked creaming the first half of the 78 season, courtesy of Mario Andretti, a man who you can say of is that he's shorter than most average drivers. However, he was creaming the season and went on to win that year's championship. However, Mr. Murray went to Article 3.7 of the technical regulations of the Formula One at the time, and it said that any device attached to the car whose primary function was aerodynamic must be fixed and immovable. So, Gordon Murray, the aforementioned Gordon Murray, decided to build a fan which basically turned his car into a huge vacuum cleaner. The fan he used to cause this effect, its primary purpose was not an aerodynamic one. It was a cooling. It was cooling.
No.
Yeah, this is what Gordon Murray says.
No. Okay, sorry. Go ahead. Yeah,
okay,
I'll let you finish.
If the part's primary function was aerodynamic, then it must be fixed. However, Gordon Murray made his fan not primarily an aerodynamic device. He made his fan primarily a cooling device. He sent 55% of the air from the fan through the radiators, and 45% of the fan went to sucking it onto the track, basically. Now, Colin Chapman, being the man that he was, got together with Mario Andretti and got Mario Andretti to say things like that the car was throwing up big stones that were hitting in his face and his car and all sorts of things like this, which Mario Andretti later admitted was just made up stuff. However, at this point in time, Bernie Ecclestone and Max Mosley were trying to put FOCA together, FOCA being the Formula One Constructors Association, to give them more power and more say in Formula One. And as all the other teams were unhappy, let's put it like that, with the fan car and its interpretation of the rules, Bernie Ecclestone decided to withdraw the car, much to Gordon Murray's protests, to withdraw the car from that year. Now, just to finish this off, the car was never deemed illegal by the FIA. After the race, it was sealed with the lead seals that the FIA use. It was put in a truck. It was examined by the FIA and was deemed to be completely within the rule book. However, the FIA did say that they would make sure that the rules were changed for the following year so the Brabham fan car would be illegal. So that's the story of the Brabham fan car, never banned. It was withdrawn by Bernie Ecclestone for political reasons.
Yeah, okay, so one quick thing. And I'm outside any kind of doubt because I said already Gordon Murray is in the triad of my personal deity of engineers in F1.
Holy Trinity.
But the fact that he used the fan to cool the car was what Gordon Murray said. Actually, I think that the percentage was more like 30% cooling and other stuff. That was what he said. It wasn't what it was. So he had to say that because he knew people were going after him. He said that was total bullshit on his part.
Sure.
And he knew it.
Absolutely. Of course he knew it. The idea of the fan car itself came from an American car called a Chaparral.
Yes.
And
separate engine.
And that of course was an aerodynamic device on that particular car. Yeah. So there's no doubt exactly what was going on. The fact that Bernie managed to get in there, right? Get this car on the car, get this device, and then use it, right, for one race, and then purposefully, advantageous himself into a position where he could take power over F1. He's the genius of it all, I'm afraid.
Right. And I agree with you. And I mean, just the fact that it was something, and again, I'm not discussing Gordon Murray's technical abilities, but he's a huge bullshitter. And now, if you put together a car made by Gordon Murray and managed by Bernie Ecclestone, anything which comes up from those two guys, it's bullshit. I don't care what they say. I don't.
Fair enough. I just got to say, it could only have been bettered if they'd hired Fabio Briatore to be the actual.
That would have been total poker. That would be a royal flush. There was
we're going to stop there because we're well over it. So thank you very much, gentlemen. We really appreciate that. That is a lovely little section which we can hope to do every week if we manage to get some material for it, etc. That's obviously on you, Lucky. Yes, we just ride the coattails. We are the Bernie. I am the Bernie Ecclestone. Fabio is the Fabio Briatore of
fuck
this
off.
show.
Come on,
No, and there we go. And it's all out there. We're out.